let me start by saying thank you to and give appropriate greetings to the mayor and, of course, the council for your leadership and appreciation for the ongoing partnerships that we have in place. Tonight's opportunity for discussion for us is just the possibilities that lead us into another dimension of an established relationship. And if you've been around me at any point in time, you've heard me say in so many ways that there's really no beauty in life without relationship, and there's no strength that is lasting except in partnership in that which is collaborative. I believe that to my bones. My intrinsic being trusts that there are enough people to do the work that needs to be done, and there is enough resources to ensure that we can secure the most vulnerable in our communities. And so, as a formal presentation, the title is Expansion of Housing Security Services and Spatial Design. I want to talk from at least a standpoint that shows that our involvement when it comes to housing security is not one-dimensional. Actually, we have built over a number of years a continuum of housing opportunities that secure the residents of the city of Rock Island. Most of you know about our work with Homeless Prevention Services. We are one of few, perhaps, in the entire region that actually goes to where the homeless or the people experiencing homelessness reside. So at 6 a.m. every morning, our team is on the road. We don't wait for them to come to us, we actually go to them. And we have resources in the vehicle, which includes items for warmth and comfort if it is their decision not to get into the vehicle and start the process to housing security. Today may be a day where they say no. Tomorrow, if they're still with us, they may say yes. So ours is to give them what they have need of in those moments as they make their own private decision and make their commitments known unto us. The next level of commitment we have is the Northwestern Illinois Continuum of Care. It may slip through the knowledge of some, but right here in Rock Island, out of our headquarter building, that's not far from here, we oversee 15 counties of the shelter networks, and I'm proud to say that it's located here. Over the last 2.5 years, we've saved about 3 and going on 4 of those shelter networks that needed our technical assistance or needed resources that we were able to leverage and make sure they had so that they could continue to keep their doors open. If we lose shelter networks, we are in a world of trouble because those individuals have few and far between places they can go to get out of the elements or find shelter for the evening. The next commitment that we have is the weatherization project, and we have teams that are certified and approved by the state of Illinois, a governing body that allows us to go into homes that are in need of weatherizing so that we can ensure that the warmth stays in the winter and the cool stays in the summer. If you have been anywhere close to this area over the last couple of weeks, you know how important that is to have a home that's weatherized. And so our commitment has been strong there. We have a number of contractors that we work with, and it is not just the home that is the beneficiary or the residents thereof, but some may not know the number of contractors that we supply resources to do these jobs. And so we create an ecosystem of opportunity and keep dollars circulating in the city of Rock Island through these partnerships. We also have the affordable rental properties and that we have as a housing stock. We're around 110 or so now. We're going up to another 15 properties soon, and that's through partnership, where we have partnered and assumed responsibilities of the De La Cerda House as well, and the city, and I must commend you once again for the great level of commitment to individuals living with HIV and AIDS in this city, and the ease of the process to allow the transition of a grant that you so welcomingly received when you were the only other entity that could have received it outside of the Housing Authority. You did so and brought additional weight to your own staff, but you wanted to keep that grant here. And thankfully, the laws have changed and allowed us as a separate 501c3 to be able to assume responsibility and that partnership has allowed us to do so. We're working through the final pieces of paperwork with the state, and that will be completed here in a number of days. And then the last area that we're working with, which is a continuum, and I'll throw in a couple of points that are important, which is to become a HUD-certified housing counselor. We have our friends at Growth that do it so well, but because we have so much of a need here and individuals that are in our social network, we thought it's in our best interest to become certified as well, to be able to take them through a continuum of services, and we are not far from that. There are actually live testimonials of individuals that started with us experiencing homelessness, and now they're renting on their own, and they are in the preparatory stages of preparing to purchase their home. I would love to be able to work with them and to find available housing stock right here in the city of Rock Island for them. I said I had a couple more pieces to talk about, which is the great partnership we have with the Veterans Home. We call them honor homes. We have 5 remaining. And of course, there are a number of them still remaining in the city of Rock Island. We're working to provide another veteran and their family a residency right here in the city. And then we're working with so many of the city's partners, including CHC, our friends at the community health centers there, and also Trinity Unity Point, as we are in the second phase of a grant to provide medical respite for individuals that have to go to the emergency ward as an individual that's currently homeless. After they leave the emergency ward, where would they go to heal? They're homeless. There's only 3 other medical respites in the entire state. And you guessed it, they're in Chicago, not here. We want one here so that individuals do not re-injure themselves or fall victim to infection or other types of ailments. We want people to, after injuring or having an injury, to be able to heal appropriately and to be able to provide the shelter that's needed for them. And so what are our challenges? I ended with homeless or people experiencing homelessness for a reason. We have some challenges here. In the city, of course, in the Quad City region, there's an over-indexing increase of 40% of homelessness. We're up to 639 individuals that we can put a count to. Now, I would always tell you that these counts, in my estimation and opinion and professional expertise, are always undercounted. And so when you start talking about where do people go, we know the city of Rock Island has been a place that has been sensitive and empathetic to them. When we had the shelter network across the river right there at King's Harvest, so many of them would cross that bridge every day looking for resources and opportunity. We know the city of Rock Island has been a place that has been sensitive to that journey. And of course, you've been privy to the Quad City Housing Cluster's wonderful work with moving from silos to solution, where they have reported the commitment of affordable housing units as a shortage of 6,645. That is unbearable for a community our size. And where do people go when there are not options for affordable housing units? And then we have our challenge. Our headquarter location is out of space. I can't grow. I have a grant right now that allows me to expand the services of our homeless division. And we're looking to bring on 4 additional people to be able to do this work and to shore up the challenges that we have with people experiencing homelessness. I need them to be able to have space. Why do I bring this before this body? Is because the board, our board, has a responsibility to find and help us locate a new location. They'll take our advisement. They'll take our understanding and our ideation processes, but they have fiduciary duty. And so they have tasked me to look throughout the whole Quad Cities. I have come back with the recommendation that the best place for us is right here. I don't want to leave, not just for the sentimental value that we started here. We have some challenges that I believe our agency could help, and I want to be a part of that solution. And so I have fought, and our board has agreed to allow me to take another step forward and to be with you tonight. So where is the opportunity point? We have been in discussion for now, well over 5 months at Starcrest, right down the road. And the old Starcrest building is one that we have partnered and had discussions with Joe Iono, the agent We've been in that building inside and out. We have designs of what it could look like and how to ease traffic. The former banking portion of it, with Wells Fargo, will become an enormous reception area. Most people that come to our agency, if you've been in our building, have to stand. Our reception area isn't a reception area, it's 4 or 5 chairs. They fill up very quickly. And people that are already under the stress and strain of not having enough, worried, hair disheveled, pupils almost dilated, stumble into our building and they're standing. That's not something that I take any joy in telling you. I need a fix to that. And this space will allow us to have integrated services so that they're not just coming to the senior center, then they're not coming to our headquarter location. They're just not going to our former weatherization building at the Good Things Now former store, but they'll be coming to one space so they don't have to walk around the world or catch a bus to get to the next place that they really don't have resources or time to do so. We've already done the design work. We believe it'll be a good location for us. And this will allow us to create a housing security hub. And what I mean by hub is that now we'll have all the regulatory commitments under one house. We'll have the collaborative efforts of our friends and partners. Although Project Now does so many things, we do not and cannot do it all. We always need partners and friends in this city. The integrative solutions through our systems will work better under one house. And then, of course, there's a space for the ideation or generative process that allows our think tank to take its best work and put it out on the streets and help people that need us most. And so how do we think about this work? We got to be present. And sure, we could do something in another city and still do great work here, but I've learned something by looking at our own data. The city where our headquarter location is gets the direct impact of who we are. It shows up in monetarily investments. It shows up in our ability to partner. It shows up in our collaborative efforts. It's not saying that we leave anybody else out. It's just saying that the impact happens there and the imprint happens in other spaces. So I want to be here. Our agency needs to be here so that we can be proximate and close. Nothing can be done at any advantage to any of us, aloof and far away from where the greatest challenge is. We're not running from our challenge. Actually, we're trying to anchor ourselves in our challenge so that the people that need us most and our partners won't have to look for us. We'll be right there. And then it allows us to really start addressing the disparities that the reports have outlined. We've been digesting the West End assessment and its recommendations. We've been digesting on a daily basis the Rock Island portion of the impediments to fair housing, the report that was released in 2019. We take a look at not only the data, but the recommendations, and we believe that through the recommendations, if we could wrap around services of our housing stability program, our supportive housing initiative, which allows us to partner with local Rock Island property owners to move money in their direction so they don't have to worry about can a person pay or not. We're paying the bill for them. We keep those small business property owners up and above the level in the bar. Our low-income housing commitments that we have in our partnerships with others, our weatherization, our LIHEAP program, our energy assistance and water assistance, our seniors program, all of that now becomes wraparound to be able to secure the most vulnerable in our city. And so I took a look at the 8 disparities that are listed in the West End assessment. Right now, we have full capacity to take 4 of them and own. Not without anybody else contributing. I'm saying this is what we do every day. Split that list of 8 in half. We have 4 of them that we do all the time. One is the low income security. We already know that the poverty rate in the census tracts that are listed, the 3 census tracts, is at 36%. I want to make sure we get that number down. And by being here, you have my full commitment as the executive director and the weight of our board backing us and the subject matter expertise of our wonderful staff. We're going to work to get that number down. And of course, we have the number that always stays in our head. Where we are, I believe the median income is somewhere around $12,000 as a headquarter location. The federal poverty level for an individual is $14,580. For a family of 4, that's $30,000. we need to be here, looking at the numbers as what they are. The commitment that we have also to look at the lack of safe, quality, and affordable housing, our goal is to keep people in the housing that is available, and then make sure there's a housing stock that is available for them that are experiencing homelessness. We work with Judge Pentuick, the 14th Judicial Court. We're still in that process now. We had the only eviction diversion program in the state of Illinois outside of Cook County. We invested $1.3 million into the lives of those individuals and their families on behalf of them to the property owners. And so we were 74% successful in keeping people housed and keeping the existing housing stock by the property owners on the books. That's something that we say we are thankful for, and we're celebrating every chance we get to keep people housed and keep the stock open for other families that may need them. And then, of course, the lower home values, Census Tract 236, 226, and 235, the average home is valued at $66,000. You know the numbers, you've seen the report. The county average housing estimation is $170,000. And so how do we come in and help where we can? The weatherization projects, the single-family home repair that we can do to assist individuals with redesign once they become other-abled or formally listed with a noted disability. How do we help them redesign their home? We can do all of those things. And so we think that that's something that is very important to us to be able to provide the citizens of Rock Island. And then finally, with one of the disparities that we believe we have a handle on is higher rates of cost-burdened households. You see the numbers. They estimate 10% of the county spends 50% or better of their income. That is a low estimation or a calculation to some of the families we see. Some of the families stumble into our location, almost 70% of what they have coming in is going out for housing. That is not sustainable for that individual or that family. And so this allows us to be able to stay close enough to manage these realities and to work to mitigate them and end the causes of poverty so we can start seeing numbers go in a better direction. Now I think it's appropriate time to talk at least ask the question about our capacity. If you've taken a look at our proven and promising future through our fiscal outline, in 2019, we started with an actual budget of $12.5 million. In 5 years now, and our budget has just been approved for $21 million. That's a 70% increase in 5 years. And much of the dollars that are coming in to assist us. Our second largest division of services actually is homeless prevention now. That's how vested we are into this. Head Start is a close third, and they're right behind it, and a few $100,000. But we are really building up our commitment to secure housing. With that expansion, it has allowed us to do a number of things. It also has allowed us to keep our commitment to having a clear and clean audit. If you take a look at our last audit, there's no significant deficiencies, and we have been listed as an auditee of low risk. And that's something that we take very seriously. We have 6 people in our Division of Finance and headed by a wonderful CFO that knows our agency inside and out and knows how to chart our future. So our ask today is not an ask to start anything. We have proven programming that we will believe that will be needed. Our ask today is really not an ask to sustain us. There is enough in our budgets to sustain us. If we are able to move to the new location, that's $143,000 a year in operating costs. Our budgets allow that easily. So it would not be any other challenge. Our budgets and most of the grants that we have will not allow us to purchase. And so that's the difference. They are governmental grants that love to support existing programming in spaces that are either rented, but there are no other locations that allow us to build out. And so for us, we have to own. Normally, we would launch a whole capital campaign, but you know how long a capital campaign takes to get off the ground and bring to completion. I need to secure that location because LIHEAP services are getting ready to start turning around. And frankly, our largest investment in LIHEAP is in the citizens of Rock Island. I want to be in place to help undergird them and secure them through the hard winter season that we'll have. And so our ask for partnership is for assistance with a down payment to secure the building. That's all. The down payment. The rest we have. Our shoulders are broad enough to carry the weight and the responsibility of existing. Our commitment is to scale. And once we secure, you can rest assured, you have my word, we're going to scale up. Once we get our feet under us, I can't scale in the building that I have now. But if we're able to grow our team, to go after other dollars, to bring new partnerships to the table, we'll be able to make a deeper impact in the citizens' lives of Rock Island. And why am I so passionate about this? Well, I've been a historian and a lover of history of the city of Rock Island. A few years ago, when I was the director of the King Center, I would give the bus tours for new teachers in the school district. And I would go around, point to different buildings, and having researched, one of the buildings I love to show them what is now the Elks building. Before that, it was, of course, the Belgium Historical Society. And before that, it was the YMCA. And before that is what I really want to talk to you about. Miss Suzanne Dinkman came to this community. And when she came with a hope to make investments that matter. She had been on the East Coast and had learned about the great work of the settlement movement. There on the west end of Rock Island was a pastor and his wife. They were doing anti-poverty work. Long before there was ever governmental dollars or societal efforts, they were taking care of European immigrants that have come here, poor and destitute. Their children that didn't have milk, diapers. They were families with dirt and dust. And so they had challenges with hygiene, the skills of cooking, all of those things were diminished. And this pastor and his wife were doing good work. Ms. Dinkman saw that effort and said, I want to partner. And I said, wow, I like the idea of partnering in the sense of bringing together people to solve a big problem. Her investment allowed that there would be the securing of a settlement house. And the settlement house went up. All of the classes, all of the commitment now was centralized. And that was in 1908, opened doors for operation in 1909. They worked that community. They took care of people. They leveraged their interests. They took risks together, and they shared the reward. And in 1916, they had a hovering meeting, brought everybody together. And Ms. Dinkman reviewed the data and looked at the evidence, started looking at the surrounding area, and said, our work now is complete here. That poverty has become so much more manageable, that it's not a detriment to the lives of people. There are enough partners able now to do the work. And they had reduced that level of commitment. She said, there's no need for me to keep supporting this settlement because poverty has come down. They ceded that building to the YMCA, and the rest is history. I lift that up because what Rock Island citizens have done before, Rock Island citizens can still do. And through the level of partnership and leveraging our interests, I believe if we work at it long enough, if we stay committed to a common goal, if we center people that are vulnerable, we can not only have development and opportunity and growth economically, but we can also secure those that are most vulnerable. So that one day, my hope is that our services in homeless prevention will not be needed because homelessness will be brought to functional zero, which means it is brief, it is rare, and non-reoccurring. And that wonderful, talented staff will find something else for them to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there any people have questions? Comments, thoughts?
You have my full support.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Councilman.
And I just want to say, you have done more for this community for homelessness than really any other organization I've come across, and so thank you for everything you've done.
Thank
And
you.
everything you will do.
And likewise, your commitment has been unyielding and as an advocate for those experiencing homelessness. And I will echo and turn those celebratory comments toward our wonderful staff. They're the ones that are out on the street, and I have a chance to be up close and personal with them and travel with them and see it myself. But they really do care, and it shows. So thank you so much for your comments.
Any other questions? None? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And once again, I'll echo, thank you for all of what you do and the staff, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate all that you do as leaders of our city. Thank you.
Okay. All right, next up, we have Linda Barnes, Finance.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to provide a preview of the 2024 budget at this point in time. There are still several outstanding items to be completed. So the agenda includes reviewing budget goals and the budget schedule, followed by an opportunity for council to ask questions. So the first directive of the budget process is to prepare balanced budgets in all of the city's funds. A balanced budget generally means that revenues match expenditures, but there are certainly exceptions, which would include the status of a fund's net position. The city has over 60 different funds to budget. This year's budget is expected to have over 4,000 entries for revenues and expenses. It is management's goal to keep financial impacts to a minimum and at the same to provide services that the citizens and businesses expect to continue to receive. It is also our goal to keep fiscal responsibility in mind in developing a budget. That means following appropriate financial policies, maintaining the current financial position, and improving the future financial position. So the budget schedule usually starts with payroll. Payroll represents the largest operating expense. Currently, the following assumptions are being used until the final information is received. Tim, can you go to the next page, possible? So currently, the following assumptions are being made until the final information is received. That includes health insurance using 2023 data until the actuarial report is received. This is expected to increase. Fire and police pension is also using 2023 employer contribution amounts. Council will make a determination next month once a minimum requirement has been received from the consolidated pension funds, as well as the estimated property valuations from the county. Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, preliminary report shows 5.72%. This is an increase from last year's percentage of 4.84%. The final numbers normally stay pretty close to the preliminary numbers. General wage increase for non-affiliates, we are using a 2.75% for this year until council approves the final amounts. Next page. Okay, so this slide provides a summary of how the general fund reserve fund balance is calculated. Any amounts over the 60 to 90 days is considered a surplus. The general fund surplus as of fiscal year ending 22 is approximately $8 million, which includes a small balance for 2021. The largest contributor to this excess was the state revenue from the replacement tax, or PPRT, at about $5.8 million, and state income tax at about $1.8 million. The state of Illinois has sent out notifications that the replacement receipts for fiscal year 24 are estimated to be almost 40% lower due to a mistake in allocation formulas. The city budget has been adjusted to account for this decrease. Right, next page. Okay, so this chart compares the current year general fund revenue to the prior year and the next year's startup budget. Some entries are still pending, such as property tax and operating transfers. The current property tax budget is being used as a placeholder until the final amount is known. The current year operating transfers include about $5 million in ARPA funds. Another review of the current year revenues will be performed after September. If warranted, additional adjustments will be made. And next page. So as noted earlier, personnel cost is the largest operating expense. The current 24 startup budget is about 5% higher than the 23 revised budget. However, note from earlier slides that there are assumptions built in for health insurance and pension until final numbers are received. And also, the contingency line in 23 includes, again, about $5 million in ARPA funds. And next page. So this table breaks down the 22 and 23 property tax levies. As noted, general fund operations, which includes the general fund, as well as the police and fire pension contributions, received about 70% of the $15 million levy. The increase covered the fire and police pension contributions, while the remaining funds remained flat. And next page. Here, we're showing the library revenue. There is no change in the library startup revenue at this time. Again, the property tax is a placeholder at this moment. Next page. The library expenses for 24 have increased about 2.8%. Expenses currently exceed revenue about $390,000. However, the library does have excess funds over 90 days and the amount of $995,000. And next page. Parks and Recreation startup revenue is lower than the current year's budget. Again, property tax is pending, so we're using a placeholder here also. The CY23 operating transfers include a transfer from the general fund and the amount of $859,000 to assist in balancing the budget. And next page. Parks expenses for 24 compared to 23 have increased about 6.5%. CY24 currently has a deficit balance of $722,000. Okay, so the next few pages just show upcoming dates. In September, the city manager and I will meet with council members one or two at a time for a strategic plan review. October, we should have the CIP budget study session. November 13th, I will give the actual budget presentation to council. If the tax levy is over 4.99%, which we don't expect, there's a public hearing required, truth in taxation. In December, of course, we have the public hearings on the budget ordinance. We have the consideration of the budget ordinance and the property tax levy. And then the following, December 18th, there's the adoption of the budget ordinance and the property tax levy. So that is a brief review of where we are with the budget currently. Any questions at this time?
Go ahead.
So, Todd, and this is a lot of data. When are we gonna start having the nitty-gritty discussions, especially about all the funds that are operating at deficits?
Yeah, so we'll begin to do that during study sessions and individual meetings with the council. The budget's in a very preliminary state. There's a lot of information that we're missing. So what are the things that I'm going to schedule here is these individual meetings with the council, Linda and I, and begin to talk to the council in more detail about what you'd like to see in terms of presentation. You know, last year we didn't do a lot of the nitty-gritty presentations, so I'm interested in your thoughts about how you want to proceed this year, if you want to do it in a similar format where we cover broader conceptual subjects, or if you want to, you know, spend time delving into the the details of the line items. It's really up to you. But I want to meet individual council members and begin to get a sense of what you'd like to see.
I'm sorry, Linda, you said next month, September, we're supposed to have some of this other data?
That's when we're gonna meet with council like we've done in the past, like one or two at a time.
Right. But you said you're waiting on some data.
Oh, yes, we are waiting for the consolidated pension reports from fire and police. We should receive that in early September.
Health increases would be another one we'll
Yes,
get fairly
health in-
soon.
What was that?
The
Health insurance.
Oh, yeah.
health insurance increase is always kind of an unknown, but we should get that soon. And then the AV is the other big driver, especially for the library and parks. And that should come when, Linda, sometime in the next month?
Last time we received it Labor Day week.
Oh, okay.
Received the,
Yeah, good. So
information from the county.
that's a big piece of the puzzle, especially like I say, for library and for the parks.
Right.
So you're looking at starting these individual meetings September, October?
Yeah, I'm gonna have, staff begin working on scheduling those tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, the asset management project that Public Works is working on, that we approved 2 months ago, something like that, will that be concluded before this budget so that we can have that information as a part of this year's budget?
Mike, let Mike answer that.
You're talking about the C-Click fix?
No, we hired an engineer to
Oh,
help.
for the facility asset management. Yes, that will be concluded. We have a proposal from them that'll be coming back to council. However, most of that funding would happen in '24 as part of the budget process. So we'll have to add that into this budget if the council approves that. But yes, we will have a proposal ready to put into the budget for '24.
Well, another big project that mentioned, the Dome project, will we,
Yep, we met with the consultant, CDM Smith, last week. I've penciled it in on the study session spreadsheet for the first meeting in October
so,
for an update.
but, so what is it they were working on, they weren't actually doing,
They were looking at hydraulic flow models.
but not doing the actual construction design yet?
No, we're not near that point at this time.
Okay. So will we need funds in 2024 for that project?
Possibly for engineering,
Engineering,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Todd, when are we gonna start working on, goal settings? Because I know that was a concern before. We're working on the budget without the goals. So it's kinda hard to focus on
that-
goals when you don't know the amount.
And that's part of what I want to talk to council about is the timing of doing another goal-setting session. Last year we spent a lot of time working on the ARPA plan. Before that, when you did the goal-setting, a lot of those goals that you set, the goal document is really kind of a multi-year stage. I mean, we're still working on some of those big projects, one of them being the ERP replacement and things like that. So what I'd kind of like to do is get a interim check-in with the council and talk about the goals and where we'd like to go for the future and have it more specific. I would like to complete the citizen survey, get further along in the ARPA plan, get further along on some of the projects that we're still working on from the last goal-setting session, and then probably over the winter time do the big sit-down goal-setting session. That would be sort of my thought about it, but I want to get more input from the council on that and, the specific ideas for the 2024 budget. And just as important as the 24 budget is the capital plan, and that, that's a 5-year plan, and that's where we'll slot in some of these things related to building maintenance and as well as some of the water projects. We're also working on, updating the water and sewer fund cash flows and how projects are going to fit into that.
So when you say over winter, you mean in 2023 or 2024?
2024, yeah.
Linda, I know I emailed you about this before, but are we planning on applying for the GFOA budget award with this budget?
Not for this budget. Not to use an excuse, but the new software would make it a lot easier. It's just a lot of work involved in that, and in the past, we've had to use like Word documents and Excel, and it's just very cumbersome, and like I said, it takes a lot of time. So definitely, with the new software, we should be able to get back on track with that.
And Linda created the position of budget and grant manager, and they've been doing a lot of work on the budget and improving it and doing various things that we needed to do kind of behind the scenes, like putting together building maintenance and putting together, fund models and things like that. So we're building toward the point where
Yes.
we're going to be able to apply for the budget award, but we're probably not there for next year just yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold it to you next year then.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
Are we anticipating having the software in place by next year?
25. I believe we expect 2025 January is the software team's goal.
Fully implemented?
Yes.
All
Or,
right, never mind, I'll hold you to it in 2 years.
Yeah, and that's another part of the challenge too, finance department, they're gonna be consumed by putting that project together for a little while.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. We're adjourned until 6:45.
right, nice to stay on.